Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Mobile App Academy, where we show you how to build and deploy mobile apps on the ServiceNow platform. My name is David Ha, and I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow. And I want to give a warm welcome to everyone joining us live this morning, this afternoon, or this evening. If you are joining us live, please let us know where you're joining in from and who you are. And if you're new to using our new mobile apps at ServiceNow, definitely let us know in the chat as well. We love getting insight from all of you, whether it's from here or from mobile community. We'll put together these mobile app academy sessions based on what we hear and what you want to learn about. And based on popular request, this week, we'll actually be doing a live building session using components outside of Mobile Studio. So today, we're going to walk through some of the use cases that you might run into when you can't configure mobile inside of Mobile Studio. Some of these include mobile components that you might not even be aware of. So we'll definitely share some light on some of these new features that came into New York. And you can actually take advantage of things such as segments on a list, segments on a form, embedded list, and so much more. We'll be spending some time walking you through some of these use cases and show you just how customizable mobile can be on the platform. And then we'll answer any of the questions that you might have along the way. And to lead our session, we have a guest speaker today. Her name is Viviana Ogawa, and she is an application developer here at ServiceNow, as well as one of our mobile gurus with extensive experience building ServiceNow apps. Before I switch it over to her, one last note. If you have any questions throughout today's presentation, feel free to send them over in the Q&A section of Zoom. And at the end of the presentation, we'll go ahead and circle back and address them at the end. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Viviana so we can get started.
Alrighty, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, thank you, David. Welcome, everybody. So like David mentioned, today we're going to be going over a few ways that you can lay out and view some of your data. We're going to be working with something that I think a lot of people are familiar with, which is incidents. So to start, I want to display all of my open incidents as well as all of my closed incidents. So how can I do that? So I'm just going to go ahead and open up Studio, go to my incidents demo application. So what you see now in Studio is what you're seeing on my phone screen right here. I just have one incidents demo applet launcher page with nothing in it. I just have this one UI section for incidents. So we are going to build two applets, one for open incidents and one for closed incidents. So we'll get started with building those data items first. So we'll do open incidents first. It's coming from the incidents table. We will sort by, let's say we only want to see incidents that were opened by myself. And we want only open incidents. So let's say that the state of these incidents should be one of new or in progress or on hold. That's technically open. And then let's just add a sort to say the most recently opened incidents should be at the top. So opened incident A. All right, so we have these conditions here and this sorted by condition here. Looks good, we'll save this. So you see our new open instance data item up here. We're going to make one more for closed. Same thing, pretty straightforward here. Opened by me. And the state. Solved. And again, we want the most recent on top. All right, looks good. So now we have our two data items for open and closed incidents. So now we are going to build out our applets. No applets exist yet. So we'll do open incidents a list of open incidents. What looks like an incident? Can do clipboard. All right, so we're going to pick the open incidents data item that we just made, configure some of the fields. Let's say state in the corner, the number in the other corner, short description. Yeah, that's good enough for now for the heading. And then for the body, let's add who it's assigned to and maybe priority and some urgency.
Oh, Viviana, do you want to actually replicate this from the primary? Because this is just the header.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, this should actually be a copy of the header, and then the body should contain those fields. You're correct. Assigned to, and what did I just say? Priority and urgency. All right, so looks good. We'll save that. That's our open incidents applet. And then we will go and make our closed incidents. All right, so we're going to keep the fields the same. Copy this over. In the body, we will also keep the same fields assigned to priority and urgency. All right, so let's save that. Next, we are going to add these two applets that we just created onto our applet launcher. So open incidents and close incidents. This is our incident UI section. We're going to be showing these as icons horizontally. Save. Then we're going to refresh the phone screen. And now you see we have our open incidents and closed incidents applets. So if I click on closed, you'll see since I configured the fields to show as the state, the number, and the short description, that's exactly what you see. And then when you click into it, you'll see the extra fields assigned to priority and urgency. So this is fine. In this scenario, we have a lot of screen real estate on this incidents demo applet launcher page. So it's not super tragic that we have two applet launchers, one for open and one for closed incidents. But there are definitely cases where screen real estate is a little bit tight. Maybe you want to do something like combining these two lists into one applet. So how would you go about doing that? So this is something that can be done outside of Mobile Studio. So we're going to actually combine these into one applet just called incidents. So I'm going to go back over to platform outside of Studio and search applets. All right, so when we look at the applets list, we have a few that we just created here. So we have this open incidents list screen, detail screen, and form screen, and the closed incidents list screen, detail screen, and form screen. If I open up the open incidents list screen, we have this item stream segment here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this item stream segment to open incidents. And then I'm going to save that. I'm going to do the same thing for the closed incidents list screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this closed incidents item stream segment into this open incidents list screen. So how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to click here and say closed incidents. Save. And when I click into this, I will be able to define a new item stream here. Close. Oh, list. I'm just going to add a new filter to make sure that I get the correct one. For class is list or item stream, which is both. Okay, for some reason I have to.
It's probably just because you created one previously.
Oh, that's true. Oh, and I need to update that screen. Right. Oh, where did it go? Oh, I just erased it by changing that definition. Closed incidents. Incidents. I can spell correctly. Yeah, I actually want to keep this as open instance here. Closed instance. Okay, so now it's showing an open incidents and closed incidents item stream segment. So if I go and refresh my phone screen again, go into open incidents, you will see now 2 tabs at the top. So these tabs are what we refer to as segments. We can change the order of these as well over here. Let's put the closed ones to the right, which I think makes more sense. We'll pull down, refresh to see the, oops, closed instance order 20. Okay, now the closed incidents are on the right. So now you have an applet with both open incidents and closed incidents together. So because of that, we're actually going to rename the applet over here. So now this isn't open incidents, this is only incidents. So you'll see that because this name was open incidents before, it shows open incidents at the top right here. This does not change when you click on closed incidents, which doesn't make any sense anymore, right? Because then it'll show open incidents at the top, but you're looking at the closed incidents. So we definitely want to remove the open incidents from the name and show only incidents. So we'll save that, and then we will refresh. And then we also don't need the closed incidents applet anymore. So we are also going to remove that from the applet launcher. We can do that from Studio. Oh, yeah, we want to remove closed instance, save, and save that. All right, if we refresh, we only have one applet. It is called incidents. We click on it. It contains both the open incidents and the closed incidents in one place. All right, so we have accomplished that. So now let's take a look at the form screen for these incidents. So we're going to dig into one of these. Actually, let me, this might have been, okay, it's fine. All right, so this is, we're looking at a details default form segment right now. So this is the kind of the basic setup that you'll see when you create a form screen. So technically this is called a details screen. When you look at the list of applets from platform, you will see form screens, you'll see list screens, but then you'll see also details screen. So this section below the header, this is the header of the form screen. This section below it is the details screen. So this detail screen is pretty straightforward. You can add and remove fields from the screen as required. And we did this already in configuring it through Studio to create this page. So if we go to Studio, there's another out-of-box segment type called an activity stream. So let's take a look at that. Let's delete this, close this, and close this. So if we go to Form Screen, and we're looking at the body, there's this button here called Modify Segments. And we have a few options here. So we have the details one, which is already on, and activity stream. So if we turn this on and hit save, a lot of the out-of-box incidents applets will come with this activity stream already on. So a lot of you will already be familiar with this. But as soon as we turn that on, you'll see that now we have this activity stream option right here, along with the details segment information here. So from the activity stream tab, you can do things like toggle the ability to add comments, work notes, and attachments. And as soon as we save this, and we go back to refresh, we see a new segment here, which is for activity stream. We just turn that on. And then you will see the activity stream for this particular incident. So activity streams are very useful for specific use cases, such as incidents, where it helps to show activity history, attachments, comments, things like that. It's not for every use case, but for incidents, it's definitely very, very useful to have. So another segment type that you'll see here is the related list. So you can turn this on as well. So let's take a look at what we can build with this related list segment. So I just turned that on. So now you see this third option appear here, which is related list. If we click on it, you can click here to create a new related list. So here you can choose a relationship and select a destination applet. So this related list works very similarly to how you would expect it to work from platform. You can identify some kind of a relationship here and then determine which screen that list should show. So we're actually going to configure this in platform. The reason for that is because I'm going to add a few relationships whose screens do not show here. Inside of Studio, this destination screen list will only show what you've built in this application scope. So in the ITSM mobile data, there are already some pre-built destination screens that I want to take advantage of in this demo. Because those are not in my application scope, I'm going to be configuring this in Studio, or in platform, excuse me. So because I turned on that related list, when I refresh the applets page, you see this related list screen appear here. I'm going to click into here. It's for the incident table. And this is where we create the related list mappings. And this is where I'm going to add a few of my related lists. The task or the incident table has a lot of out-of-box relationships that we can choose from. We're going to do affected CIs and use the affected CIs screen. We'll do another one for child incidents. So let's do incident to parent incident. Incident to parent incident. Destination screen, let's do child incidents here. And then we'll do one more task SLAs. Task SLAs. Task. All right, so we have a few related lists mapped now. So if I go back to my screen, pull down refresh. Oh, save. Just have that type on. All right, let's try that again. Okay, yeah, I just didn't save. So if I click into the related lists, you will see 2 out of the 3. Task SLAs, I might have picked the wrong screen destination. I did notice that there were 2, but that's fine. We can fix that later. So we have the affected CIs and the child incidents related lists. Let's just fix this now, actually. It's the other one. Okay, now we have all 3 showing up. So when you click on child incidents, you will see that these 2 children incidents of this incident number 40 will show up in this related list. So that is how you use the out-of-box relationship or related list tab here. And you'll see now these are showing up in Studio as well. So again, the only reason that I did not configure this in Studio was because I did not create these destination screens within the scope of my application. These screens came with the ITSM Mobile plugin. So that they were in the ITSM Mobile scope. Therefore, I had to configure this in platform. All right, so this is fine. It's good to have these related lists handy. But what if I only wanted, of these 3, I was actually only interested in, let's say, the child incidents related list. The other 2, not so important to me. Then it would make sense for me, instead of having this related list segment tab, to have a tab called child incidents or children. And instead of clicking a second time into the related list, as soon as I click on the segment heading, it automatically shows me all of the child incidents for this task. So how would we do that? So this is another thing that requires configuration outside of Mobile Studio. We are going to create, first we're going to create a new relationship data item. So this is something that also is outside of Studio. What I just described, where we are kind of pulling out this specific list and putting the list in as a segment, that is called embedded screen. So first, we're going to create a relationship data item. This is the syssg relationship data item table. And let's call this relationship data item demo relationship child incidents. The table is going to be incident. And the table that it's related to is also going to be incidents, because the child incidents and the parent incidents are both in the same table. We are trying to go for the incident to parent incident relationship. So let's just look for that in this list. Incident to parent incident. All right, and then we're going to save. So a relationship data item is different from a regular data item in that a regular data item is missing this table related to and this relationship field. So now that we have saved, the item parameters section has loaded. You can't add this until after you have saved your data item for the first time. This goes for regular data items as well as relationship data items. So we're going to add a parameter here called parent incident. And we're going to pass that in as a string. Basically, what we're doing is we are creating a data item of all of the incidents whose parent incident is being defined by this item parameter. So we're going to create the UI parameter for that next. But first here we have to add in the query condition that the parent incident is this parent incident parameter that we are being passed in. Okay, so we have this incident table. It's related to the incident table in this case. We have this incident to parent incident relationship, our item parameter, which is being passed in. Well, not yet, but will be passed in. And we are checking for all incidents whose parent incident is this parameter. So we're going to save. So back over in Studio, we are going to create a new list applet using this relationship data item that we just created. Just going to close these out. Applets. Create an applet. We'll just call this related data item applet for now. This is the data item that we just created, the relationship data item. We'll do the same thing as when we created the other two applets. We'll just add, let's say, what did we do? State and number and short description. Assigned to priority and urgency. All right, so we will save this. So one thing that I have noticed in New York is I created this parameterized data item outside of Mobile Studio. So I created this parent incident string. So the parameter settings should actually be showing up here, but you have to kind of nudge it a little bit in New York for it to show up. So I'm going to open up this demo relationship child incidents relationship item in Studio again. So you'll see here that actually this parameter definition, it is not showing the parameter that I created. It's, even though it's referencing it here, this is not showing. So as soon as I actually add it again or add a new one, test, this will show. But if I delete the test and I save it, it will disappear again. So I'm actually going to create a new one, parent incident, and then delete the old one. Now when I go back to the applet, close it, open it again. Now it is showing me the parameter settings. So this is just a little quirk for New York that you just need to work around. So again, that's once you create this parameter definition in platform, you do sometimes need to recreate that parameter in Studio when you are creating the applet in Studio. All right, so what we are going to do now is, so we have the parent incident that we need to pass in. We're going to create that here in the autofill parameter definition. And oh no, actually, this is one more limitation of Mobile Studio in New York. When I'm trying to create an autofill parameter, I have these options. So I have GPS location, date, and user. In this case, I actually want to pass in the parent's incident sysid as this parameter. So this will not work for me, actually. So even after I did the whole parameter redefining, I'm actually going to need to add this autofill parameter in platform. And again, that's because the type that I need is not here. There's only date, user, and GPS location. So coming back to platform, what is this? I don't need this. I'm going to search applets. And this is sort. So I just created the related data item incident applet. So I'm just going to take advantage of what I already created. This is the form screen. That's not what I want. Go back to the list screen. And I'm going to define the UI parameter here instead of here in this section. UI parameters. So if I hit new here, I get this screen show up. In Studio, when I select autofill versus user input, so these actually will show both options for you here, user input parameter definition, oops, as well as autofill parameter definition. In platform, this is actually a choice here, autofill or user input. So I want autofill. So as I just showed a second ago, this will only show GPS, date, and user. Over in platform, it will show GPS, date, user, as well as constant and source field. So the one that I'm looking for is source field. First, let's name this current incident. And the source field that we are looking to pass in is the sysid of this parent record. SysID. And everything else is fine. We submit. Going back to the applet, once I created that UI parameter, so here it is. So I'm passing in the parent incident sysid through this mapping that I need to create. All right, so now the mapping is created. We're going to save this. All right, so now we have a list screen, or a list screen for the incidents for which the parent incident is the sysid that is being passed in with this UI parameter. So what we are going to do is go back to this applet, which is the incidents applet. Incidents form screen. We have details, activity stream, and a related list, which is what we see here. So we are going to add this new list that we created as a fourth segment here. So we're going to double click here and find that list. We do want to make sure that we find a list and add it as a segment. So this is the related data item incident applet. And we hit save. So if I go back and refresh, click into incidents, click an open incident. Now we have this fourth segment, which shows me my 2 child records. So this data should match my child incidents related list. So if I click this, the list looks the same. Number 3, number 4. Yep, the IDs are the same. The tiles look different just because the fields are configured differently, but the incident numbers are the same. So this is useful in the case where you're really not interested in multiple related lists. You really just want to see the list as part of this segment. So again, this is called an embedded screen and is also very handy. So now we have these 4 segments. It's not recommended for obvious reasons to have more than what you really need as segments. You also definitely want to clean up the names so that they don't get crowded. So you can, to change the names of the segments, you actually need to go and rename, in this case, the list applet. And I'm going to go back here. Go to this list screen. We'll name it children. And then go back, refresh. Incidents, open. Oh. Interesting. Okay, there we go. Let's try refreshing again from the home. Okay. And now this last segment is just called children, which is much easier to see. And then of course we can also decide like, oh, actually we don't need this related list segment anymore. We can remove it, clean it up a little bit so that your end users can actually see what the tabs are called. All right, so what if, so now we have our segment, so that's very nice and handy. So what if now we want to be able to see some additional information about who this incident is assigned to? So in this case, we have this ITIL user. Like what if you have an incident, it hasn't been updated in 30 days and you want to call this guy? Well, it doesn't really make sense to add the assigned to users information as like a new tab or as a, definitely not as an activity stream. And you could just have another applet that has a list of users that you can search. But another thing that you can do is create something called a navigation function that we can add to this form field, where you click on the ITIL user and it will take you to this ITIL user person's profile. So we're going to build that really quick. Let's close this out. So the first thing we will do is we will go to this instance applet. Oh, one thing I do want to point out. So this embedded screen that we just created, this children's one, because we configured it outside of Mobile Studio and it is more of a custom segment that we built, it does not show up here in Studio. And actually, if I save this here, it will overwrite the fact that there is no children's tab here. So that is something that you have to be careful of when you are working with embedded lists in New York. So this is something that has been mitigated in Orlando, but this is just a heads up for if you are working with a New York instance. If you are doing anything, any configurations outside of Mobile Studio, be sure to not overwrite those changes when you are working in both platform and in Studio. So having said that, I'm going to still want to work in Studio, so I'm going to save and it will probably overwrite this embedded list. What I want to do is add a field function to the details segment on the assigned to field. So I'm going to click here on the field functions. I want to add it to the assigned to function. So I need to create a function for actually going to the page that I want. So I'm going to create a new navigation. We're going to call this jump to user profile. So then we need to select where to jump to. So I'm going to create a destination screen, users profile. We're going to make this a form because we're just looking for one specific user's information. We don't need a list. I need a data item for this. We're going to be using the out-of-box user table. Save. Did it save? Okay. And I need to create the applet here. If you don't add a data item to a new applet, it actually does not save for you. So another thing to be careful of. Why is my data item showing up?
Try saving again on the data item, and then actually close out the applet.
Yeah, it's here on the list.
It just might be a caching issue.
Yeah, because then as soon as I close it, I have to remake a new one.
Oh, you're trying to create a form right now? You need a parameterized data item, remember?
Oh, I didn't have the parameter.
Yeah.
That's the one. a little slow. And then sysid is user. Save. All right. Now will it work? It's here. All right, so save this. We're going to do the autofill parameter to say logged in, or no, not logged in user, sorry. Let's configure this first. Email, I guess. Yeah. Let's see. So let me remember for the navigation function. For the navigation function, was that a user input parameter? Because I know we're passing in the record as a context here.
Oh, sorry, I was answering some Q&A. What was the question?
So the navigation, I know, so we set the destination as this applet that we're building, and then we're setting the context as the record, and then we're passing in what that, like who we just clicked on. Is that being autofill with the sysid again?
You gotta save the function first, and then the parameter will show up.
Yeah. So select your table first under navigation, back on the function. And then you can save after you select the table. Now your parameter, auto redirection parameter should show up, in which you want to pass that parameter.
Wait, it's not showing up.
Jump to, what did we call this? Jump to user. Oops, that reloaded everything. Okay, let's go back to the incident applet. A little bit sad.
Wait, let's open up your field, your navigation again. I want to see how if it's configured correctly.
Navigation.
Because you need a parameter in order for it to show up on the field. It needs some sort of parameter.
Yeah, I didn't see that parameter option.
It might. Let's just give it a reload and see what happened there. Just give it a second to load. We can't see your screen quite yet. Your destination is user profile, so shouldn't this be pulling from the sys user table, not the instant table? For the display condition table? Is that maybe why the primer's not showing?
Yeah, go to
yes.
you have to go to user profile applet, and then you have to have parameterize.
Oh, with that too.
Yeah, so I added the parameter here.
So your UI parameter.
Your UI parameter is not there.
Okay, add your UI parameter.
Oh, I thought I did.
That's why it's not showing up.
Okay, so this one I'm doing as autofill.
You don't want to do that. You want to create a UI parameter because you're passing the user sys
right, but
of your incident
UI.
to the user profile applet.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do that in plugin.
Oh no, I think Fu was saying you passed the UI parameter, so you want to create UI parameter, right?
Yeah. So here,
Studio, yeah.
So on your user profile applet, create a UI parameter right there. So hit the plus. Oh no, not the autofill.
Not autofill, just regular UI parameter.
The regular one.
Right, autofill is just a type of UI parameter, so you just want to create, yeah.
There you go. And then type in user sys whatever you want. Text is fine. That's fine. And then you want to map it to your data item parameter. So I assume your data item has a parameter as well.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. And then we go back to the navigation function. You should see the parameter. You might need to do a form reload instead of the whole thing. So right click on it and do
you reload frame instead of reload?
Reload frame.
Where's reload frame?
Underneath.
Space? Yeah, underneath the tab. Right click the white, yeah, there you go, reload frame. That should do it. There you go.
There we go. Okay, why can't I add one?
Your display condition should be user table, I think, sys user, not instant. Right view? Or am I mistaken?
It should be incident.
Oh, it should be instant?
Yeah. Hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you, I think your monitor is too big. That's why the buttons figure. So do command minus. Can't see the add button there.
Do a refresh one more time. Or click save, sorry. Click save. Save should actually pop it up.
Oh.
There it is.
There you go.
Okay, it automatically adds.
Okay, so it automatically created. Now you have to assign the value to it. You're not done yet. There we go. And you want to pass the field of the incident sys user. Or is it the caller? Are you using caller?
No, I'm using, the navigation function is being added to
assigned
the
to. Okay, so hit that one. So that's a reference type. Now you got to add it to your field.
Oh gosh, what was it called?
Jump to user profile.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go. Oh, no. Okay. So it's saying please provide a valid field because it's erroring out because of this segment that's missing. What I mentioned earlier about the custom segment. So let me actually add this in platform. Oh, it did save though. So let's see if it's there in mobile. Okay, so it's still not there, but the function instance is here now.
Let's try giving it a name and label.
Yeah, this gen 2 profile. But because it's a navigation function, these won't show.
Right.
Location is field, table is incident, field name is assigned to, blah, 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 blah. Okay, these look correct. Let's try one more time, refresh. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now you see the little arrow next to the assigned to. And when you click on it, you see ITIL information, the email, and then the department, which is what I set in the user profile applet. So if we want more information, we can add it to the user profile applet in the body here. So we could just add maybe what city or email is probably important, like phone.
You might have to refresh on the.
All right. So
okay. Sweet.
I did. It's here. Yeah. So just to show a little bit more field, for example, we can add a condition actually on the navigation function to say only let this navigation exist if, for example, the incident has been opened more than 30 days ago and now the user is allowed to call who is assigned to or something like that. So there's a few things that you can do with this navigation function as well. All right, so we are basically out of time. So as a review, today we created a couple of things. We've done multiple list segments. As you can see here, we have the open instance and closed instance segments inside of one applet. We enabled just like the out-of-box activity stream segment, utilized the related list segments. We added a custom embedded screen. And then we also added a navigation function to a field in the detail screen so that users can get more information about specific fields. So that's all I have. So I hope that wasn't, there are a couple of places where we got a little lost, but I hope that was helpful. So yeah, that's it. Back
Sweet.
to you, David.
Thank you so much, Vivian. I think that was a really great job. And I think something that Vivian did really great too was to show you, when you're having issues with the Mobile Studio, it's always best practices to use Platform UI or outside of Mobile Studio to kind of troubleshoot. That's kind of an example of how we went back and forth today, showing you through that process. With the last couple of minutes that we have left, and before I open up to Q&A, there's one last thing I want to show. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, actually. We got a few questions on best practices. We do have some resources there. So let me show you on actually mobile community. If you go to mobile community and if you look under featured content, there's a little content link for mobile migration and getting started guides for Orlando. Even though this says getting started for Orlando, this also applies to New York. The only thing that you'll see differently is you might see some new features that aren't quite available for New York yet, but it does apply for both releases. So if you open up the mobile implementation guide steps and you open up this PDF, you're going to see this table of contents that kind of gives you all the best practices on how to get started. You know, whether it's what are all the out-of-the-box workflows that are available for each client, or you know what plugins that I need, leveraging workflows, to using Guided App Creator, to using Mobile Studio, to knowing when to use Mobile Studio versus outside of Mobile Studio, which is kind of what Viviana did today. All of this details is available on this guide. And something I really want to show is on page 25, there's mobile hierarchy. So if you got a little confused today, it might be helpful to check out this guide, because this diagram will actually show you all the backend tables that are relevant to configuring segments, how you, as well as all the table names that are associated. So something that Viviana configured today was a segment, which is number 9. And if you scroll down to number 9, you can actually see what she configured today, which was an item stream segment. And it's how you were able to show the open list as well as the closed list. So right, these are segments within a list. And then if you scroll down some more, there's segments on a form, embedded screen, and all those other things that Viviana showed. A lot of these things are configurable on Platform UI, but not on Studio. And this document is there to help you understand that. So that's all I wanted to show. Let's go ahead and open up to the audience. Any other last Q&A? Let's switch back to see if there's any questions. Can't see the Q&A or chats. Fu, do you see any in the chat at the moment?
I don't. No, there isn't any new. We kind of answered all of them.
Okay. Last chance before we wrap up. Okay. If you do have any other questions, please continue reaching out to us on Mobile Community. And if you want to check out this recorded live webinar, you can check out YouTube and actually look up Mobile App Academy for ServiceNow. You'll actually see our playlist there. Is there a specific emulator that's used to show our mobile device? So we're actually using QuickTimes. I think we don't have guidance on what emulator you use across different organizations, but how we are showing our devices, we're just showing a recording through QuickTime. Fu, have you heard of any other emulators that other organizations have possibly used?
Yeah, if you're gonna use an emulator for like some testing, it's a paid one. It's called pCloudy. So David, can you type in p and then cloudy.com?
Yeah.
This is something that I've seen customers use. And this spans across, but we recommend using a real device to test. But if you want to test across multiple devices, this is probably one that does it the best.
Okay, sweet. So we are past time now, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. So thank you all for joining us today. I hope that this session was informative and helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to keep posting on community, and we're going to continue exploring different configurations in future Mobile App Academy sessions. We are going to take a break next week, in the next 2 weeks. We do have K20 coming up. And so we're going to take a break the week of May 4th, where you can actually join us. If you want to reach out to our mobile team and you have any other technical questions, you can actually reach out to us during the Genius Lounges. And the Genius Lounges will actually be up for a whole month. So you can actually use that to ask us questions, and we'll help you there as well. So thank you everyone for joining us in today's session. I hope to see you at the next Mobile App Academy in about 4 weeks. All right, cheers everyone.